His House, right? On Netflix. And of course we have the trailer playing right underneath us there, right? So, His House. Sophie Darusso. I hope I'm getting these. I'm bad with these African names, right? Sophie Darusso is boy. Wani Masaku is Ryo.
Where do we know her from?
We know her as playing the sister in Lovecraft Country. You know, the sister that puts on the skin of the white people in Lovecraft Country. This is her. That's what we know her, right? Javar Botet. I hope I got that name. My writing. Javar Botet or Xavier Botet. No, it's Javar Botet. The witch. He plays the witch. There's a witch in this, right? Interesting. Matt Smith is Mark. There's an ensemble cast of black ghouls and goblins, zombie undead, night walking night terrors in this picture, right? So here's the synopsis of the picture. A refugee husband and wife must find a new life after fleeing war-torn South Sudan to live in a dwelling in a less than hospitable English town while fighting off demons bent on punishing them for their past actions, right? So that's the synopsis of it. So look, this has to be, coming from out of, representing the characters. This is one of the best horror films that we've seen, because sometimes when you watch Caucasian horror, sometimes it doesn't sync up, it doesn't make sense. It's just doing and going about doing something just because it's just doing it. There's African lore in it, African folklore. There is the explanation of demons, the explanation of, through flashbacks, it tells you the story. It is very concise in its delivery. Not one frame is wasted on making the film have a longer time of it showing, right? So in other words, everything was plotted out beautifully. Every story beat that's in the film beautifully placed. Every flashback sequence, every introduction of new demons and undead, beautifully told. Once you get in the house, there is no doldrum time. Once they're in the house, it kicks off and it keeps kicking off. And then there is a divide and conquer element put in the film that we're not going to tell you too much about, but you have to see it, right? It's a divide and conquer element in the film. What did you think about His House?
I thought the acting was great. And I'm telling you, I didn't know where the movie was going, because there were like twists and turns, and this isn't like the traditional horror film. And when I saw that Wendy Masuki, I apologize for butchering her name, but when I saw that she was one of the leads in the film, I said, okay, this is going to be a good film, because like you said, we've seen her acting in the Lovecraft Country. So seeing her play this character, which is a totally different character, right? I was really convinced. I was convinced that these two were a couple. I was convinced the horror and the pain and just everything that they were going through was convincing. It was just well done.
What do you think about the undercurrent? Because it was written by a white writer, right?
Okay.
And it's interesting. What do you think about the undercurrent that they had of there was a divide and conquer put in, and he was, as the male, he was in 360%,
Right.
and the wife had to come around.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I thought that was good. The husband was determined to keep his family together, no matter what, even going through dealing with what they were dealing with in this house, right? And first of all, they're on a foreign land, right? And so, you know, it had to be horrifying. He's trying to keep his family together. He's living in a foreign land, basically a foreign language, and dealing with ghosts, goblins, and demons.
Right. But what do you think about the aspect of the woman having to make the decision?
Yeah, because I'm trying to say this without giving away. I think
she had to make a decision.
Yeah, she did. But you know what? She was torn because of the decision she had to make. And you'll see what this decision is, right? We don't learn until midway of the film, right? And so
it's a beautiful way of them telling the story.
It is.
Because they used to tell you in film school that the event that's happening has to be in real time, actually in present, and not in flashback. And I like the way that filmmakers are destroying that model altogether and going with something new.
I don't agree with. I don't understand what the turmoil was. Like, to some degree, I understand why she felt the way she did. But I'm glad that her husband fought to keep them together, and eventually she snapped in.
Yeah, she snapped in. She snapped in at a very crucial point.
Yeah, she did.
Right. So
yeah,
let's go through.
I think it was her guilt, really, that made her kind of.
Yeah. So watch the film, because it's
mostly guilt.
It's a psychological, social commentary too on relationships, along with what's going on. So let's go through it. Cinematography is a 10.
Right.
Storyline, through line, everything, the pacing on this is just superb. It's a 10. Character arc is a 10. Acting skill and emoting is a 10. Wardrobe and sets is a 10. Locations, where the choice outside of the apartment where they showed you, the living dwelling, that's a 10. Story beats through the flashback, beautifully done, 10. Believability, everything in this film was believable. And sometimes that's hard to do in some horror genre films, right? Yeah. Historical facts about there being a genocide in South Sudan, and the way that they incorporated that research into the film, that's a 10. So what would you give His House?
I would give it a 10 because of the acting, storyline. You felt, I don't know, you could relate while watching this film what it would feel like to be on a foreign land and to be caught in between. Like, these people were stuck. Like in other films, you're watching a film and you're like, why don't you just leave that house? But these people really didn't have any other options, so they didn't have an option.
There was an extreme dramatic need to why they couldn't leave the house, and you will see that, and that is truly a catch-22, in between a rock and a hard place, and you will see what that is. So for me, His House is 10.